everybody, Todd Michael Putnam from Creative Adventure Tables bringing you another adventure table idea, and this is the Cree Colony. The Cree Colony. So before I get into it and give you the close-ups of everything, the first thing that I always get whenever I have any kind of an exotic build or something like this where it's multi-layered is that people will say, well, that's not practical at all. That's not, it's too hard to deal with the minis that are inside. I always build stuff so it's practical. I always want to have enjoyable games with my players, and so it has to be practical to play. So all these top levels right here, it comes from the top down is how you play, because you work your way down into the Cree Colony. So you'll play this level first, and then this level, and then down here, and work your way into it properly. So after they get on the first level, which basically these are stone walkways on a huge silo going straight down, and it drops down. There's some stairs and there's another stone walkway going across, and we'll get you a close-up of that in a second. But how I do it is once they go to this drop-down area onto the other side and they're ready to go down to this level, literally this whole thing just picks right up, and bam, you have immediate access to the next level. And then you do the same exact thing with that for the level after. I just take this, I put it over on my kitchen island, and we're back in business playing. And I remove those supports, unnecessary supports right there. That just takes 2 seconds, and that gets you full access to the next place where you can play at. So it's real simple and real easy in order to make stuff like this completely playable. It only takes 10 seconds to have full access to that, and it's fairly sturdy too. It's not. I mean, you have to knock it pretty hard before you cause any real damage. So let's get a close-up and take a look at the Cree Colony. Okay, so here we are with the Cree Colony again. We're doing a close-up. As you can see, the way that I built this thing is I used my Todd tiles, 3D printed Todd tiles. These guys right here. These are 2x2x2s, squares, but then I also have 2x2x4s or by 8s, excuse me, for distance. And I just stack them on top of each other and create the multi-layered levels of the cylinder going downwards for the tunnels for them to descend into. And then on top of that, I put a clear 24x24 inch plexiglass sheets that I got off of Amazon. I've got 2 of those stacked one on top of the other, plus the ground floor itself. And then once you've done that, all I'm doing is I just take Dwarven Forge tiles and set them across the top. And then I got these. I can't remember what these come from, but I got them off eBay somewhere, and just to put them as little outlines, if you will. And then I put a whole bunch of 3D printed, stalagmites around the side there, just to give the feeling that you're going down or whatever into deeper into the earth. But because it's clear plexiglass, you can see the level below you, which is of course what it would be if you're looking over the edge of the ledge. And there are other, stone walkways across the chasm. You would be able to see them as long as they're, within the view of your light spell or your torch or whatever. So, which they roughly are. It's about 30 feet per height, so I guess it's about 60, maybe 80 feet or something, like 60, 90, 70 feet, something like that. Scale-wise for all of this. So you'd be able to see those levels below you. So that's what that is they'd go across. And in this case, as far as the encounters are concerned, I have harpies. I have what I call cave harpies, which are in here if I can get in there close enough, that they're flying out and they're accosting the players. Another one over here. They're coming up off of the ledges and stuff, and they accost the players. And they basically try and scratch and claw them, of course, but if not, if there's tough ones, they'll literally just try and knock them off the edge. And the heroes would have to make like a strength check or a dexterity check to see if they could push back or grab hold of the edge or something and not fall. Because if they fall, then there's a chance they might fall to the level below, in which case they'll take falling damage for each of that. That'd probably be about 3d6, which could be painful if you're playing Shadow Dark. And if they fall another level or so, that could be another 3d6 on top of that, which could definitely be lethal. Or they could fall into the water down underneath, and there are ripples of things going through that otherwise still water that makes one wonder what terrors are just below the surface of that murky subterranean lake. So falling in the water, you may not take any direct damage, but could be worse for you depending on what else is in there. So that's how that works. The second level is also just the harpies that I've got going on in there, and I've also have some giant centipedes and stuff going across. And again, right now I've got the top on there, but this is all, when I pull that top off, you just reach in there and you have full access to it. So it makes it certainly easy. And again, I would pull these things out of the way too, so that way there's nothing in your way when you're actually doing the gameplay. Fast and easy, but does a wonderful job of creating vertical experience for the players, actually going deeper and deeper into the earth. And of course, making things harder and harder as they get lower and lower into the bowels of the earth. If they do, in fact, go into the water, I've got some tentacle stuff. I forgot to bring them out, but I've got some tentacles that reach out and grab them and start trying to do drowning damage to them that they might have to try and break free of. Also down here on the walkways are giant fire ants. These guys are quite nasty. That's, let's see, do I have here's a regular guy, so you can see the scale, of course, of how big those are. Basically, they're, 6, 7, 8 foot sized fire ants that the heroes have to deal with. So in addition to the biting damage, there's of course the venom that does damage as well, and they would have to try and resist that and try and fend them off as they scavenge around looking for food and defending their territories. So in that area here, there's a number of places that eventually they'll come down on this side here. I don't know if you can see the stairs on the right-hand side, just barely coming down, but that's where they'll come down at. Again, the second plank would come off. They've got to go through this walkway down here, come through the fire ant territory, and then eventually, after they make it past the harpies, after they make it past the water creatures, the tentacles, and they make it past the fire ants, then they finally get into the Kree colony territory, which is this here. And of course this I would have covered up with my black poster board and stuff, so you can't see what's in the individual rooms. Parts like this where I had this stalagmite, all I do is I just lay that down, lay this down, and then I just put the black poster board on top of it, and when I pull the poster board off, because they get to this area, just stand it right up, wham, you're in business, you're good to go. So that way they can't see what's coming in any of this area or any of that area, down or along this section here. All that's covered up, so they wouldn't be able to see the surprises of what's coming next. And then the rest of this here is pretty straightforward. Just a variety of, there's the Kree warrior kind of things, like these guys here. And then there's also like worker and trap type Kree in the colony that do different things. Like this guy here, I always have them, those extended claws. I have them that they fling out real far and can grab people and start dragging them to them. Kind of like the old cave fishers in D&D. Kind of basically modeled after that. Like a bombardier bug or whatever it is, and that has a big attacks and stuff. That's something that can happen. And then it basically branches out. So you've got an area, you can go to the left here, which is going to have a lot of victims and stuff. And the victims could be anything. It could be the fire ants that are climbed in there. It could be some of the harpies. It could be previous adventurers and stuff. It could be town folk that they've gone up and raided and dragged all the way back down. Wherever, whoever it might be, but there's victims that are basically all webbed up in cocoons, whose purpose is either be saved later for eating, or even a worse fate, to be dragged into the Queen's chamber, where eggs are literally injected into them and their bodies are used as incubators, for the next Kree to be born out of, which doesn't sound too pleasant. So all of this is interconnected, so you've got connections over here, connections over there, you know what I mean? There's everything is, I tried to make a hive-like mentality where everything has at least two things coming in and out of it. Most of them have 2 things coming in and out of it. Eventually, you get to 2 other ones. I'm going to bring it back up to here. These 2 here are the Queen's consorts. So this one and this one right here, the kind of blackish colors, those are the Queen consorts. So they're going to be the alpha males, if you will, and extremely deadly fights for that. And then last but not least is going to be the fight against the Kree Queen herself, which is a different color. And of course, she's got her own lair, but you've got to go through everything else first before you can get to her, basically. That's it. That's the, of course, that's claws and bite attacks, and there's some poison stuff going on there. Some of them, of course, will have like chameleon-like powers. The consorts will have chameleon powers, so you don't see them there. And then sort of like a la Predator, you know, they just spring out from the walls and attack. And things of that nature. So if you find some of these webbed up individuals, if you try and cut them open, you don't know who you're going to cut open until it comes out. It could be, you know, it could be other previous adventurers. It could be the harpies. It could be some of the fire ants. You don't know what's going to come out of there, so you have to be real careful on who you're trying to save, because it's just big jiggling masses of squirmy people that are squirmy living creatures that have all been kind of webbed and cocooned up together, and it's really too hard to know which is which. So that's it. That is the Kree colony. Also, what else did I use in here? Most of this is all Dwarven Forge. All this on the lower section and the walkways is all Dwarven Forge, just the regular caverns, which are great, and then also some cavern accessories. That just provide some extra style tiles and stuff, like the ones that I've got in the lake right there. Those are all cavern accessories, and some Ironthor mountain sets, 2 pieces right there, and a few others. That just adds a little extra variety, and of course, because of the color scheme that Dwarven Forge uses, it all blends together extremely well. My 3D printed Todd tiles, as I talked about earlier, and the 3D printed stalagmites from Printable Scenery are in there. And last but not least is these big huge guys here, which are the wall display from Game of Thrones toy. If you go to Amazon or eBay, you can find them. It's called Amazon the Wall. It's called Game of Thrones the Wall Display. And there's a better view of one over here. Here we go. So this is a front piece of it here, and they have nice little ledges too that you can use. You can put minis on these. They're just big enough that you can put minis on for climbing adventures. So I got them for that reason, and I painted them up to roughly match the Dwarven Forge colors. Not perfect, but close enough to get the ball done, and match my 3D Todd tiles. And I just use those in order to create the backdrop, if you will, of the cavern type experience. So because the players would be sitting on this side here, and if I had the table, I would put it on that edge right there. It's just not set up right now. But and so this is the angle that the players are basically looking at it from. So this gives them that backdrop that gives them they're going down a deep chasm type experience. So that's it. Here's a kind of a view from the top, so you can see the what it looks like, having that veering down, you know, peering down through the mists of darkness view of going down the chasm. Came out pretty good. Thank you all so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think, what questions you have. And I will see you guys next adventure. Take care. Bye.